This Indianapolis Colts team preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away 15 million. Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up with SGPN to claim your first deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL picks and projections are now live. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
What's going on? This is Dwight Freeney, and you're listening to SGPN.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money Graham with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
A little double header, Sean.
2-a-days continue.
Yes,
Hashtag no days off. You, me, our dog Spuds in the studio. He's got some. I like the addition of the
thank you.
headphones on Spuds.
They're actually working too. So
Okay.
If there is a soul in there, they will be hearing all the sound. The soundboard is active in Spuds' ears.
I see Serial in the chat. Shout out to Serial. Fellas going back to back today. Olan, a noted Bears fan. Sup, D gents.
Noted.
Serial in the chat. Serial, of course, unfortunately, a Cowboys fan. Ryan, I don't know if you saw, but the
What happened?
The NFL they announced that they're going to be doing facial recognition technology in the stands. Like when you go to the an NFL stadium, they're going to be able to pick up your facial recognition, and they use the sample video from Cowboys Stadium. Basically, like, hey, look, we can zoom in and we can see who you are. And they posted a video, which I think is a complete invasion of privacy. I think it's up to the Cowboys fan when he wants to come out to the world that to friends and family. I think it should be his decision, their decision, her decision. It should be their decision when they want to announce they're a Cowboys fan. This is the deep state's gone too far when we're outing Cowboys fans, Ryan.
I mean, it's just like enhance. Listen. This is dangerous. You can get caught doing a lot of things. I mean, this is like taking words.
What if my mistress loves NFL games? What am I to do, Ryan?
We hate the aggregators because they zoom in on a piece of text and they take it out of context. What if you're looking at something else, but it looks like you're looking at even something else? You don't want to get caught.
Well, it's very funny that you mentioned that, because
you know what they just did?
What?
They just gave a lot of people a reason not to go to a game.
There's a couple making out. There's this fat dude chowing down nachos.
I mean,
it's a really sad guy in a Hawaiian shirt. It will be funny, some of the if that stuff leaks out. Ryan, you mentioned at a stadium, Billy, our host of the Soccer Gambling Podcast, he sometimes visits America, takes his kid to a bunch of events, and he sends us a photo.
He's seen more of America than I have over the last
he really does.
4 years.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Billy seems like he takes his kid to WrestleMania, all these sort of events. I'm jealous of his kid's life.
We hung out with him too. Yeah. Seems like a well-to-do, put together.
Yeah, his kid seems cool. There's a photo of his kid and posing next to, wouldn't you believe, they're at like a baseball game, posed next to the Hawk Tua girl, right?
Nice.
I saw that photo. I bursted out laughing, and I guess his son noticed the Hawk Tua girl and asked for a photo, and she was surprised that people in London had heard of the Hawk Tua girl.
That's awesome. Also, any coincidence?
Billy's son seemed very excited to be meeting the Hawk Tua girl in person.
Again, great parenting, right? Like great father. You got to spit on it. So I mean,
do you have any advice for my son?
I mean, look, any coincidence that I hocked to it on the show, and then just mere days later, Billy runs into the hock to. He runs into everyone too.
He does. He's got a lot of celebrity photos.
Man with a plan.
He's deep. All right, Kramer, man. We're here though. Yes. We're here to talk Indianapolis Colts again. Check up on all our NFL team previews. We just recorded an awesome episode, as always, our annual tradition with
San Diego Superchargers, charge.
Justin Decker, and of course, you should be listening to every team preview, because each team preview we reveal a word. That word takes, is a part of a 32-word phrase, and you get all 32 words. You submit it to us at the end of the team previews. One lucky winner will get a $500 NFL Circa Future. And I know people are keeping track. If you think like, oh, there's not going to be a lot, there's going to be some. Yeah, you're going to have to get a little lucky, but you got to get all the words right in order. This episode, the Colts team preview, the word is championship.
Whoa.
Championship is the word.
That's dangerous. Did you plan which team would
did not plan at all? Well, because also there's been
keyword of championship.
There's been some sliding around. You were trying to do win total order. We got some guests. We got Bet Bash coming up. If you're coming out to Bet Bash, we're doing a live podcast. Come out, say hi.
I'm sure
out in Las Vegas at the Circa.
I'm sure Saints fans are probably like, "Where's our win total?" But yeah, no, we was slightly out of order.
Yeah. So don't worry, Saints fan. We'll get to you.
We're skipping the Saints this year.
Colts coming off a 9-8 season. They were 9-8 ATS. Their win total was only 6.5. They went over. We both had the under, unfortunately. So that brings our total to 7. I'm 7-5.
We
You're
were
6-6.
For the record.
I think we were. Yeah.
I think two things happened. We were right about AR-15 getting hurt.
Well, and that. It would be super fun in fantasy, but him as a competent quarterback, there's some growing pains. There's going to be some growing pains.
And then I think the fact that the offense continued to work and Eagles offense not being clearly the coach mattered. And
I probably underrated Shane Steichen, and he did again. It was coming in rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. That's usually a great time to fade. But meanwhile, they ended up playing a pretty good season. Minshew came in, respectable backup as he is. And I thought they played pretty competently. I really liked overall what they did in the draft. They didn't do a ton in free agency, but I do like what they did in the draft. I think they're a pretty interesting team. It was I don't know, but AR-15 is still a massive question. Now we look at the additions. Laquan Treadwell, Xavier White, couple receivers. They didn't really do a ton in free agency. They kind of just re-signed some of the guys they had. Maybe they should have done a little bit more on the back end, defensive secondary there. But the draft, they brought in Latu, which had some medical stuff. But if he stays healthy, he's interesting.
Baldy really liked him.
Yeah, good get off.
Instant impact rookie.
Good get off. Although we'll talk about it with Underdog, his sack total, his sack projection on Underdog is really, really high for a rookie. And I'm high on Latu, but it's pretty comically high. I think Adonai Mitchell, who again a guy that fell because there was some off the field stuff. They loaded up on the offensive line, but yeah, I think to me, obviously, it's going to be. Hey, what is AR-15? What do we get out of them this season? You expect him to make a jump, but can he make a full jump because he didn't have a full season, right? He still only has 58 pass attempts. So I think he could be better than last year, but can he be a guy who wins the division? That's probably a little high. I do think as far as backup quarterbacks, bringing in Joe Flacco, that was a great signing by the Colts. Now we'll see how much Joe Flacco has left in the tank, but I love this signing because if AR-15 goes down, which he started 4 games, he finished 2. So maybe he's super healthy and he starts all 17. He certainly has a frame of a guy who I think can take some punishment and should be able to stay out there, but he is still kind of reckless. There's some Josh Allen-y vibes going on with AR-15.
He's also not super accurate.
Yeah.
I think the sample size being small allowed us to skip over that part because
maybe hides the accuracy.
Are you hearing a lot of people talking about that?
What do you mean?
Like concern?
Well, and that's the other thing too.
Generally, is it like when you see people take a year 2 jump, they don't. It's not general. Like accuracy is not generally.
I would say here's what I mean. Josh Allen actually is the greatest example of someone who
he's
did
an outlier.
Make a huge jump in his accuracy. Traditionally, if you're an inaccurate quarterback, you can improve, but it's tough to make a huge jump. So maybe split the difference. But I think Josh Allen is an outlier, and certainly I think AR-15 is an outlier with his athletic ability. And I think they can design an offense. To your point, Ryan, yeah, I am kind of worried about his accuracy issues. You look at their turnover margin; they were +2. A lot of that was a guy like Gardner Minshew who played it a little safer and maybe not as aggressive and or reckless as a guy like AR-15 who will probably throw some picks here. Now does he throw 15 picks or does he throw 10 picks? Cause that could be the difference between them hitting that win total over and them not. I know a lot of sharps, our fellow sharps in the market are hammering from my inside information. They are hammering the Colts to make the playoffs. Colts were 12th. Of course
they are.
Colts were 12th last year in touchdowns with a backup quarterback. I think being 12th in offense, considering that weird start with Jonathan Taylor where he didn't play and then held out and that whole thing, I think that's pretty good. You know, they have a young safety or sorry, I don't know how old he is, but the safety Julian Blackmon has been really playing pretty well in camp. I think there's a decent ceiling for this team. Decent ceiling and decent floor. Because to your point, if AR-15 is a turnover machine and they hesitate to pull him for play issues, like
they won't do that.
What do you mean?
I can't imagine they bench him unless he got. I mean, injury is the only reason he's coming out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're gonna bench. I think they will hesitate in benching him, even if he is throwing a lot of interceptions. I think they have a long leash, and they're going to have some growing pains. If you're an EPA guy, Richardson was positive in the EPA per drop back, 14th in the NFL in the first 5 weeks.
Small sample
after a rough start in week 1. Yeah, no, I mean, it's easy to say small sample size, positive or negative.
Of course,
with AR-15.
I mean, certainly there's a ceiling case, but look at the prices. It's hard to play a ceiling case. I mean, what like at what price are you playing Anthony Richardson MVP? Where you're like, this feels like a good price.
Yeah, I think 40 to 1 and more.
It's 30 to 1.
Yeah, it's like right on the playable edge for me.
Isn't that one of the ceilings?
Yeah.
Isn't it possible that Minshew allowed them to get more out of the fruit than
well, so there's 2 ways to look at it, right? There's one that says in some ways Gardner Minshew's limitations helped them play within themselves, kept them in some games.
Yes.
But also did limit their ceilings. I mean, this is the interesting thing, Ryan. We forget the Texans versus the Colts, that AFC South came down to those last couple plays. If Gardner Minshew completes a couple passes there, the Colts were at home. They win the AFC South, and then maybe they end up beating Cleveland. What do you think the narrative would be? Because I think the narrative would be different if CJ Stroud didn't get into the playoffs. If he didn't win that playoff game, I think the narrative is pretty different between these two teams.
We're not talking about elite quarterback. I mean, we've seen this a lot. There's a lot of you are elite because of how I saw you end the season. I mean, even think about Jordan Love. I mean, he's getting a little of that sauce. So yeah, I mean, look, my take would be I have in my notes question mark. Are they upgraded at quarterback? Yeah. Okay.
I think 100%. I know you're super high on Gardner Minshew.
I'm not. This isn't me being high on like based on what he did. We watched him last year.
Yeah.
Like don't project anything. Just based on what how we saw him operate this offense, how we saw him lead this team to a serviceable record. As you point out, they were better than average in scoring touchdowns. Very donkey stat to bring up, but
what?
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying for us to be leaning on just a raw touchdowns. The The nerds would tell us that's.
I heard this from a nerd.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. You hanging out with nerds?
Yeah.
Just listening to them in the cloud.
Well, and I do think Jonathan Taylor being there from game one, a guy who I project to have a really good season, I think is huge. You give Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor for a full season. You give him Michael Pittman, who I'm high on. You give him Shane Steichen, who I think is a really good play caller. Maybe get a nice little bump here in the pass rush with Latu. Even though his sack projections I think are a bit high, I still think he could have an impact early on. I think there's a world where, I think Shane Steichen knows the strengths and weaknesses of AR-15 and is going to craft an offense around him, and I think it's going to be successful.
We went this far. We didn't mention they were 0-2 in the games that AR-15 finished. Not. Again, are we sure the quarterback situation is better?
Yes.
This season.
Yes, I think Gardner Minshew will have a worse year in the NFL than AR-15.
I'm saying,
however, whatever metrics you want to, measure that by.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm still, I need that question answered. I think the defense, you can project the defense taking a step forward, but that would be just projection. That their variance could take them up or down, in my opinion. The offense, it is hard to make.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the chat. There's a guy Marvin in the chat saying, "Watch your mouth," with the AR-15 slander.
What do you mean?
He's clearly a Colts fan. You rile up Colts Nation.
I will you're talking to the same person who identified Kyle Pitts as a bust early on, Sean. Did I not point this out?
You said he was not in the gold jacket club.
I didn't understand it. He never was running into any contact. The second there's a little contact, he trips over his own shoelaces. It's unbelievable. Anyway, back to the current topic. AR-15 is fine. I like the offense. You can't project it to be horrible. I'm just saying that I don't know if we're in a much better state this year.
I would disagree,
because I don't think there's any way that AR-15 can use his legs like is optimal and for him to finish games and finish the season.
Well, and then
he's a big dude. He went out twice. Like, it was his routine shit. It was routine stuff where he was just kind of running through contact. He's not Josh Allen. I worry about his ability to stay healthy. Shoulder injuries.
Well, then you bring in veteran Joe Flacco,
which
who I think is better than Gardner Minshew,
or a potential like absolute pit. Just a
could be
endless. We might have just seen the last hurrah for Joe Flacco, and it made you very happy.
He didn't look great in that Texans game.
But look, I think you have to play some ceiling cases here. I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth because I don't know if I'm going to project them to have a ton of wins. But I do like some ceiling case bets, and Jim Bob Cooter's on the team.
I saw enough out of Shane Steichen last year that I'm intrigued, and the chat is highlighting some good stuff as well. And I think there's could be some teams who have very good pass offenses. I'm going to look when we walk through the schedule, kind of keep an eye on those. Cause I think that, like, if you get this Colts team in a shootout and they can't play from ahead, I think that could be kind of troublesome. But if they're able to establish it with Jonathan Taylor, with some play action stuff with the AR-15, him picking up some key third downs, him running the ball near the goal line. I mean, God damn it, if he doesn't get hurt. I had AR-15 most rushing touchdowns in the NFL at 100 to 1. At 100 to 1.
Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I again, you could really galaxy brain your way to a place where, because they want to play fast, they're putting their defense on the back foot, and maybe that's the reason it all falls apart. But if you're playing fast and it's not working, I mean,
who says they're playing fast?
I think they in general want to play with some tempo, and I think that's they want to push they want to play aggressively and they want to play fast, and I think they're going to want to also run the ball. But I think the ceiling cases have to involve AR-15 using his arm. He has he has to have solved his ability to pass. He's not going to be able to do this just running the ball.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Marvin, Ryan. He's really taking your Colts slander personally.
I'm not. Why is it slander?
He called you knockoff Bert Kreischer, which I enjoyed the reference. Is that a compliment?
It feels like a compliment.
Well, I don't think anyone compliments someone by starting off with knock off something. So I don't think his intention was, but yeah, if you're a poor man's Bert Kreischer, there's certainly worse things.
Is it a looks thing or is it I can
jokes,
see it. Maybe he's finding what I'm saying funny.
Yeah, I think that
either way.
He said this guy should have a Netflix comedy special. Hey, of course, shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code SGPN. I know our buddy Marvin is already signed up on Underdog Fantasy. I mean, there are plenty. If you're high on the Colts or any NFL team, you just hit that NFL season long, and you got plenty of options. You want higher Anthony Richardson passing touchdowns at 20.5. You want higher 7.5 rushing touchdowns, higher 550.5 rushing yards. Latu sitting at 7.25 sacks, which I like Latu, but that does feel a hair high. Jonathan Taylor sitting there at 1,100.5 rushing yards. So many ways to win over at Underdog Fantasy. Put a couple together. You go 8-0. You can win 325 times your entry. 11-0. Dare to dream. You win 1,000 times, or you can just do the simple 2 pick 'em. Get a little 3x action. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code SGPN. Get your deposit match up to $250 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Survivor. No, you can't pick the Colts every time in Survivor. You guys know how Survivor works. Well, this is Survivor on steroids. $10 million guaranteed. Circa Millions, of course, $6 million guaranteed. Enter Nevada. Play from anywhere. Of course, very easy, especially when you use our proxy. Vegas Maddie, proxy.footballcontest.com. Use the promo code SGP there. Get you hooked up with $50 off your proxy fees. Come out, say hi to us, get drunk. There's a bunch of open bar events. Contest weekend, August 22nd through the 24th. Use that promo code SGP15, 15% off your hotel stay. All the details, all the information over at circuitsports.com. Kramer, you seem to be investigating. Do you need some reading glasses for that? What were you doing over
zoomed there? In on the if you're watching, I have the beautiful Circa schedule grid, the one that's reasonably sized that can fit on the table. And I had a note about something, and I was. My eyes.
Sorry, the Marvin is cracking me up. He said we will lose week 1. FYI, all time trend.
We should have Marvin call in. Maybe he's got some takes.
No, but we love that trend of the Colts losing week 1. And what was it 2 years ago? Where who was it? The Texans were up huge against them.
Yeah, we had a lot of money on Texans to win the division, and
I had this awesome 3-team money line round robin. It was Steelers.
Yep.
And then
they were playing the Niners at home.
They were playing
Bengals at home.
Bengals, and they snuck out a victory. Crazy game, but they probably should have won. Bengals came back. That was a big dog. And then the Chicago Bears beating Trey Lance in the pouring down rain. And then the Houston Texans were up big. And then it was a fucking tie game. Oh, what a brutal way. But Marvin was leading to a great trend, Ryan. We always love fading the Colts week 1. They just cannot figure out week 1. Doesn't matter who the head coach is.
2014, I think, is the last time they won.
That is crazy. That is, and it's obviously gone through a bunch of different coaches, quarterbacks. It doesn't seem to matter. They just cannot win week 1 to save their life and or my parlay. Let's take a look at the odds here for the Colts. Win total reasonable. 8.5, make the playoffs plus 138. We've seen some movement on that. Miss playoffs minus 170. Division plus 310. Conference 25-1. Super Bowl 55-1.
They were 7.5 last year, if you remember. The same price as Bryce Young and the Panthers. I'll never forget that.
Well, and that's why we took the under. I think at least I'm trying to remember my handicap, but I'm sure it was rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, win total at 7.5. It's almost an auto under.
Yeah, I still feel like we were on the right side of that one.
I mean, that's why it does make this year tough. Teams that exceed their win total by at least 2 games the prior season have gone over their win total only 42% of the time the next season. That's from 2000 on. This feels slightly different because I feel like they probably would have, if AR-15 stayed healthy, probably had like a 5-6 win season. But the fact that, Minshew came in and steadied the ship, veteran presence, although again, Minshew kind of lost some close games. So, and they had some weird games too, like that Browns game. There was a bunch of kind of crazy ass Colts game just off the top of my head last year.
Well, and if you look at the schedule this year, it's wild because it will pop on most people's strength of schedule metrics. Usually the AFC South has an advantage there, but they're either a top 10 or top 5 team there, depending on how you organize it. They're favored in 8 of the look ahead spots, but Sean, they're never catching more than 4 points on the entire season. And they're only catching more than a field goal. It's 4 points each time, 3 times all season. So they are a dog of basically 2 points or 2.5 points or less for 14 out of 17 games. And so you could see why the price is, or you can see why the win total is at 8.5. What I'm intrigued by is this has not been bet in the same regard, the same way that some of our other win totals have been bet, and we're not seeing any sort of real adjustment on the price.
It's weird. I think we'll see when we walk through it. I could see myself being on a slight over, maybe some long shot ceiling stuff for them. But I think the stuff to play, like weirdly, I don't like the division at the price, right? Because I don't know, 3-1. Granted, we're biased towards the Titans, and you get a much longer division price. To me, like I think if things go right, you would play like the number 1 seed at 25-1. I don't know. The division to me is not super interesting. Like I almost want more at 3-1 for the Colts.
I'm in. Well, again, like I said, I'm fairly suspect of what can happen, but last year makes you believe that why aren't they in the mix? And so in the I don't think it's a bad price. I think it's also an interesting way to maybe not be as high on the Texans. Like you said, if they don't make the playoffs, and are we talking about CJ Stroud in the same way? And then there's always the Trevor Lawrence enigma, which is when he hasn't played football for a while, people forget that he randomly sucks at football and they start convincing themselves again. Like, oh yeah, he's got a great deep ball.
Jaguars are up next.
All right. So do you want to run through the schedule?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So like I mentioned, 14 games are where we will see this team assume, there'll be some movement, but I'll even say 3-point dogs or less or favored. That's a tremendous amount of coin flips. Starts out with a number of those games.
And I would say this too, like if you're Marvin and you like that ceiling case for the Colts, like, fire up the app and just get down on all these early numbers. Cause I think the market will be quick to respond to this team. And you look they have 3 home games in the first 4. Like if they start out good, like the at Patriots -2.5 in week 13, that's going to be gone.
I would argue they're already there, right? The 8.5 win total does. I would imagine the folks who do the wins analysis of the point spread, expected wins from each game, and the win total. This is an interesting anomaly because while I highlighted how they're close dogs in a bunch of games, they're only laying 4 points once. That's the only time they're laying more than 2.5 points. So,
yeah, right. This is a good exercise. We're going to be in Circus Survivor.
So it's a coin flip.
Is there a game on this schedule? Now you got to get the matrix out and do the whole machinations, but is there a game on this schedule right now where you think we could be playing the Colts?
They play the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Giants late in the season. So,
yeah, I guess at Giants, definitely like them there. But Titans, Ryan, we're Titans fans. I don't know if we.
No. What did I say?
You said Broncos, Titans, and Giants.
Patriots.
Oh, Patriots. Yeah.
But what I was getting to is that I think that you could probably find an angle where the prices in the look ahead are actually bad relative to the win total, because each one of these prices is really close around a pick 'em basically. And the point spread basically averages out to about a pick 'em, which is why their win total is about an 8.5, which is winning half your games. I'm just saying that if you're bullish on them, I think you have a much better play on the win total than zooming into any specific game. Because why not blend your advantage out over the course of the entire season? That's all I was saying there. And I think it is an interesting case in just the win total not being, well, based on the juice not being super bet, but some of these numbers moving. And certainly this is optimism in a team that is, like I said, they're only favored 8 times, but it's tight. Anyway, they opened the season with a loss against the Texans at the Packers.
So we're playing Texans Survivor week 1.
I don't know if we can do that.
It's a strong trend.
Packers coming off the Brazil game, so there'll be at least 1 or 2 guys. Who's going to be out? Jaden Reed with some sort of
intestinal worms.
Yeah, some sort of worms. And then
Ryan thinks everyone's going to die traveling abroad.
I don't. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Big Dom will take care of this, Ryan.
I know
you hate your fellow Italian Big Dom, but
all right,
Brazilian gangs don't got anything on Big Dom.
Real quick aside, I think embroidering your name into a golf cart is not a manly thing to do. That's all, I'm just gonna say, like, that's not something. You don't think there's some noted Italians who have? I'm not about that. Well, you're not, but old school Italians are. Right. I thought it was a little tacky, but that's all right. And isn't that Italian style? Kind of, yeah, you're right. Bears then, who are, by the way, on the second of a back-to-back in that spot, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, anytime I see Tomlin as a dog, it's like, well, I'm probably going to be on the other side of that one. I mean, so what? Well, no. So yeah, Steelers. Yeah, because they'll be laying points against the Steelers. So, all right. So Texans at Packers, Bears, Steelers. 3 out of the first 4 at home. That's another nugget here. They do have some outdoor games late. Those Patriots, Broncos, and Giants games will be outdoors. So interesting. Although they do, in some versions of this team, they are a power team in a sense. So maybe they will be able to travel and play in the weather. I tend to think they're just softer, but yeah, this is interesting because you could. I mean, if they went 4-0 or 0-4, I know no one wants to hear that, but they don't win the first game. You have to start. With
that is 0-4 is certainly in the realm of possibility. At Lambeau, non-conference spot is going to be tough. I think they match up okay, but Packers have a bunch of receivers that are all pretty good. I know you're out on Jordan Love, Ryan, but I still think he might have some good matchups against this Colts secondary.
Well, Bears, and also the defense. Like, are we sure they're going to be able to stop the run? Like, yeah, I certainly don't think.
I mean, they got 3 home games. I think they're a decent enough team to go 2-2.
All right, you're going to give them the decent team angle. That's.
Well, I don't think they're going to lose.
I kind of think I might be interested in betting on against the Packers. I'll be betting against Packers and the Eagles. Newsflash after the Brazil game. So
what are you going to do in week 1, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, though that's a loss. So I have to. They're going to start 1-1, and again, as much as I think the Colts are getting bet and probably getting some respect in the point spread, they're still giving Chicago way too much respect. Yeah, so I guess 2-2. I guess I'm 2-2. It could be 3-1 though. Uh-oh. I'm turning. The tide's turning for me. 2-2. Do I go 3-1?
I mean, you do hate the Packers.
No, 2-2.
Okay.
At Jacksonville, at Tennessee. So divisional back-to-back.
Do we have our AFC South flow chart?
We do.
Who do they own?
They are, well, some of the flow chart is actually dissipating a little bit with the Texans randomly being good last year. So small sample size, but and they a lot of it also, remember, is home teams. So like for example, the Colts and the Tennessee Titans are generally one. They take care of each other. So the big takeaway here though for the Colts in the flow chart is the week 1. That's the strongest element of the flow chart. So yeah, back-to-back roads, divisional spots. Then you have Miami, then at Houston. So you're getting all 3 of your division road games in a 4-game stretch where Miami, a team that's probably going to benefit from being on the turf, comes to your place.
Yeah, I mean, how is Miami only favored by 1? Like, I think that Colts secondary could have their fucking hands full.
3-1 for the first stretch, please.
3-1.
Yeah, because this is 0-4.
You know what? I'll make it 3-1 in the first 4 as well, but I'm going to go 1-3 here. Very easily 0-4. I mean, you have 3 road division games and your 1 home game is the Dolphins. I think you'd be lucky to go 1-3. So I'll give you 1-3. I got them 4-4 through 8. Ryan's down to 3-5. But yeah, I mean, this first half schedule of the Colts is brutal. But I think I'll say this. You know, we talk about when you're buying the dip. If you're looking to play some of the Colts stuff, you know, after week 8 might be the time.
Yes. Another one was the Jags. Like I said, a little bit different last year, but the Jags have owned the Texans on the road. Strangely. All right. Oh man, that is not. Why would they do that? I mean, honestly, like not to say schedules are unfair, but for a schedule that people are touting as easy, to have your 3 divisional road games in a stretch like this, that doesn't feel super easy. All right, next up, and another back-to-back road spot coming off the Texans road game at Minnesota. Okay, maybe it eases up a little bit there. Then Buffalo at home, at Jets on Sunday Night Football, and Lions at home.
Damn,
my God.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Well, how is this schedule easy? What am I missing here, Sean?
Who says it's easy though?
A number of strength of schedule indicators. And even, I mean, in some ways,
usually they base that off win totals.
Some ways the point spread. Well, I think again, the AFC South division, although they didn't do horrible last year, having teams like the Bears on there. But yeah, anyway, so this stretch, they have another 2 road games. The home games are brutal. I mean, honestly, the home games in general are fairly tough. So you can maybe talk me into. I think the Vikings game's winnable. I'm not super high on the Vikings this year, but I think all the other games are going to be dog fights.
Yeah, I'll go 2-2 because I think they beat the Vikings, and I think they win one of those next 3.
Is 2-2 optimistic?
I think so because I mean, the spread wouldn't suggest that, but those are pretty tough spots. I mean, Bills in a dome, they essentially are a dome team.
Yeah. Well, they're shifting a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what Steph Diggs looks like. At Jets Sunday Night Football,
outside again for a dome team.
Yeah, but it's not super cold weather. But I would worry more.
You're in November by then, Sean.
Yeah, it's late.
All right, so 2-2 final answer.
2-2 final answer.
I think that's a good prediction. I could get down with 2, but I think the Lions and Bills are losses, right? So now they're beating the Jets in New York. Man, this is tough. I almost want to say 1-3, Sean. This is crazy. This is like birth right now. I came into this preview thinking one thing. I knew there were ceilings and I knew there were floors, and I feel like my eyes are analyzing a floor case right now.
Yeah, no, it's man,
because the schedule is not that. It's
what is their offensive line ranked? I'm trying to find our position.
Oh, I got rid of them for a little bit because I'm not trusting the data source.
Oh, okay.
I would look at the ranks and I'm like, this is a complete hogwash ranking. I must have screwed something up. Nope, that's exactly how it was. Okay, can't trust you anymore.
Well, they are the 6th ranked offensive line using PFF. Go with those guys.
They should be solid.
I mean, that is a concern. With Jets, obviously have some good defensive linemen, assuming Hassan Reddick decides to play instead of play Samurai. And then the Bills defensive line, I think, is going to be a little frisky.
I have nothing negative to say about the Samurai, just for the record.
No, neither do I. I'm responding to his.
I don't think people play Samurai. That's.
Oh,
I don't want
Hassan Reddick did.
I don't want to accidentally disrespect anyone who's a samurai. And
I'll stick with 2 and 2. What are you doing, Ryan?
1 and 3 feels aggressive.
Aggressively bad.
But I think we're gonna go 1 and 3.
All right.
Jesus. All right. Final 5. Again, the late bye week. This was one team I couldn't decide what was better. Probably not a late bye. If
probably early-ish, middle early.
The other note here is that while they play only 2 division games late, which is light, both are home. Their 3 road games are to cold areas, I would say, and so again, dome team going outside. But they are road favorites in all 3. At Patriots, then a late bye week. At Broncos, Titans at home. At Giants, Jags at home.
I think they close strong here. I am worried about a dome team outside, but I think they can beat the Giants and the Patriots, and I think they win their home division games 4-1 to close it out. 10-7, Ryan.
I think they can get a couple of these games.
It is a favorable end. So as it's weird, like the first 4 games kind of tough, but 3 of them are at home. I mean, weeks 5 through 12, you could argue that's kind of the toughest 7-game stretch out there. But none of the spread reflects that. It's weird.
I do think there are elements of the schedule that wouldn't show up in like analyzing the opposing win total. Like all of these back-to-back road spots, having these late season while you're favored and the team has a low win total, they're cold, they're not desirable spots. Having these early road games against your division, having them stacked in double back-to-backs where Miami is the sandwich game. I do think they were dealt a raw deal, but down the stretch, they're favored in all of those 5. Maybe we get hot here again with Joe Flacco, or maybe we don't. I think I'm going to go 4-1. Do I go 4-1 or 3-2? 3. Let's go 3-2. Let's go 3-2. What's that get me to 7?
7-10.
That feels low.
Yeah, right? You're a hater though.
Give me 4-1. Give me 4-1 down the stretch.
4-1. So still on the under, just barely.
Yep. See what I did there.
I'm on the over.
Oh, nice work, Sean. Really?
Thank you. Yeah, because the more we think about it, I am super high on Jonathan Taylor. I do like Shane Steichen. I do like some of the pieces they have on defense. I mean, that defense, they were like middle of the road. And the chat, they certainly have one of the. For a team with 8.5 wins, the variance I think is really off the charts.
Well, because I think if AR-15 gets hurt, there's a chance Joe Flacco's not able to do what he's done in the past because he's really old, or he also then gets hurt for the same reason maybe as AR-15. Whatever it is, I think the floor involves injury, and so I do think when you look at the props, you got to play some ceilings.
All right, we're going to get to our favorite bets for the Indianapolis Colts. Before we do that, of course, shout out to Rhythm, our favorite when it comes to AI picks, projection props. They got the NFL and college football market available now. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM to start. And you can build your own models. That is what is super exciting. Cannot wait to be firing on this all NFL season. Get the 7-day free trial only with our link. Ryan, one of the games they like early, Rhythm, the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Atlanta Falcons. They have that as a nice projected win.
Yes, please.
On the Steelers money line, I think they had it like 51%. So again, if you're getting plus 120 on the money line, they like that. And of course, we like Rhythm. Free 7-day trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Ryan, I'm sure our buddy Marvin is loading up on some tickets to the Colts games over at Game Time, and I'm sure he's using that promo code SGPN, so he gets $20 off. It is your go-to app for last-minute tickets. Download the app. If you listen to the Chargers preview, it was pretty funny. Seeing we gave out, there was an all in. You can get into SoFi Stadium for $8 this weekend. $8, $8 American dollars. That's all in pricing. Ryan, what do you think the Dallas Cowboys at the Los Angeles Rams? What is the lowest ticket all in?
No way, it's still $8. So a lot of Cowboy fans here. A lot of Rams do have some fans. I'll say $18.
All in, everything included.
$18.
$56.
Whoa. I didn't play the game
so
right.
Chargers $8. Well, it's because they're playing the Cowboys, so you got all these dirty Cowboys fans. I'm sure the other Rams preseason games will be a little bit less priced, but go out, hang out at a preseason game. Also, MLB playoffs are heating up. You can get it all over on GameTime.co or download the GameTime app. Use the promo code SGPN. Help us and help yourself with $20 off.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Colts are the one team where I think my brain can get to a place where I can bet the overs and the unders. Like, all right, ceiling case. If things work, AR-15 stays healthy. Anthony Richardson. I'll start calling him Anthony Richardson to make Marvin happy. Anthony Richardson stays healthy, plays all the games. He's 100% in the mix for most interceptions. Ooh. That price is 40-1. That's insane. So that's kind of a positive take on the season. If you're a Colts fan. And so I also think if that happens, I'm 100% all in on Michael Pittman. Now, this is where I give you a choice, Sean.
Yeah.
Do you like, are we going?
I like the Pittman stuff as well.
So we have some options.
Pittman most receiving yards in the AFC South is 4-1.
Yes.
I could kind of make a case that he should be the favorite.
Okay, so that was option one. So you like that one?
Yeah, I had that on my list. My logic is too, the guys in Houston are going to eat away from each other. Even our buddies down in Nashville, shout out to the Titans. You got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Calvin Ridley. They're going to take away from each other. There's no one really, in my mind. Michael Pittman is the unquestioned number one receiver in Indianapolis.
Alex Scott.
Yeah, like I said,
Alec Pierce.
Yeah, Alec Pierce.
Adonai Mitchell.
Mitchell.
I'm with you. So all right. So you like the division price?
Yes.
Do you like the overall price?
What was his overall price? Something bonkers.
No, it's not. It's 22-1
in the league.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I don't either.
You know what I do like?
Touchdowns.
What's his touchdowns?
50-1.
I don't think so.
All right.
Well, I
agree with you. I passed on that as well.
And I wanted to play AR-15 most rushing touchdowns. It's only 20-1 though.
So what I did, we were out at the Circa recently.
Yeah.
And I said, we were discussing this on the show. We were talking a little offensive player of the year a couple months back in the summer. That's why you got to listen to the summer episodes. And we hypothesized that Michael Pittman, at his very long odds to win offensive player of the year, is a very interesting bet for a ceiling case Colts season.
And that's what, 150-1?
The price I have on my paper ticket is 180-1 actually.
Wow. All right. I'm in on that.
I'm seeing out in the wild. It looks like on the onlines, you can find about 100-1 is the average price. Don't go to DK. They have a horrible price. 75-1. But yeah. And as far as I know, Sean, and I didn't double check this before the show, but the price on Pittman is still the same out at the Circa. So I would offer you the ceiling case of Michael Pittman offensive player of the year.
Well, that's the thing.
You can call it whatever price you want to call it.
Yeah. Cause do I need to play Colts number one seed if I already got Michael Pittman offensive player of the year at 180-1? Colts number one seed's 25-1.
I think the blend of most receiving yards in division at 4-1.
Yeah.
With
Offensive player of the year.
Offensive player of the year.
I'll throw in one more, and this is probably not on your list, Ryan. Anthony Richardson to throw for 4,000 yards. What do you think that's priced at?
I mean, plus 1,000.
You nailed it. 10-1.
Wow.
I like that. I'm going to take that. The Colts quarterbacks last year threw for almost 4,000 collectively between Minshew and Richardson.
Ooh.
I don't think it's that crazy of a jump to say, can Richardson, all the passing yards that happened last year, can Richardson do that?
If he does that, any way he doesn't lead the league in interceptions? Because
depends how catchable those interceptions are. But I like that a lot at 10-1.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, again, considering the MVP price is 30-1, I think a lot of these markets are out of whack.
Marvin also likes Jonathan Taylor MVP.
Really? No, that's not how. So Marvin, that's not how the MVP award works. I mean, I like your
the
angle.
Entire chat is just Marvin going nuts. I love it. I love the passion, Marvin.
All right. So do you buy any insurance on a Donnie Mitchell? 30-1 most receiving yards for a rookie.
Ooh, oh yeah, I like that. Well, that's not even insurance though.
You're not really betting against your other stuff, but you kind of are, right?
Yeah, I guess you're betting against. Well,
I think you are
not necessarily, but kind of. But I do like a Donnie Mitchell to pop in this offense, and yeah, 30-1, sure.
I think another way, because I do think there's an aspect of this team getting into shootouts because they are pushing on offense and they're giving up a couple more points on defense. I certainly would look to play the over on there. I mean, again, didn't talk about the points market for like the first 8 teams, but the Colts points 390, Sean. Again, I'm not.
You like the under or the over?
Oh, again, the over. I think in a good season or a bad season, I like the over here. How many points did the Colts have last year, Sean?
The Colts
390.5 is the point total this year.
Say 371.
396.
Oh, okay. Yeah, over 390 seems pretty reasonable then.
So what am I again with these points handicaps?
Well, because I think it's gonna balance out like the conservative stuff that Gardner kept you in some games. Maybe, yeah. There's a million reasons why you should be on the over. All right, Cole,
I think the other one of those reasons is the idea that the defense is, you mentioned it, right? They maybe have some holes on the back end. Maybe they can allow.
No, to your point, playing them in some overs. I like that.
I just think in general too. I'm not sure the offense is going to be designed to set up the defense for success than say like a Steelers team this year, where Tomlin is just smoking cigars with Arthur Smith talking about running fullback dive. All right.
What do you like in the underdog market, Ryan?
All right. So. Well,
I was gonna say Latu. I kind of like lower 7.25 sacks. Like only 2 rookies went over that last year.
What I would caution you is I think there's going to be a lot of plays. So perhaps
maybe
by volume again. Like I think the offense dictates the defense having more plays, and so very much I'd be a little bit wary to take a volume lower, especially if you think he's going to be good. Baldy told us he's going to be good.
Yeah, it's true. I don't want to go against Baldy.
Imagine telling Baldy. I remember you told us that, but I want to get against your opinion.
What about a Donnie Mitchell? And I do like him as a prospect. A Donnie Mitchell his receiving touchdowns is 2.5. Now we compared that to, we just taped the Chargers episode. Yes. Lad McConkey was 4.5. I went lower on Lad McConkey. A Donnie Mitchell 3 receiving touchdowns seems somewhat reasonable, but I don't know how many passing touchdowns are in this Colts offense to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder. I mean, at what yard line do you stop passing the ball if you have Anthony Richardson? And with great transition because that's my
What
lower.
are you playing on him?
His passing touchdowns lower.
Okay.
I mean, you make a great point. How many passing touchdowns are in this offense? I think it's a fair reason as to why Pittman's touchdown projections are low. Like, how can your alpha receiver be projected for 5?
Yeah.
So I think, if this was a total,
they had 18 passing touchdowns last year.
And I would tell you this, I certainly would play the higher on the rushing yards and the rushing touchdowns for AR-15 before I played the lower, but you got to play the lower on the touchdowns. It just seems,
yeah, I'm with you.
And also you're protected with, I don't want to say it too loudly because Marvin's still here, but it does include the injury outcomes if he plays part of the season.
No, but I think to your point, I think you got Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. Those are going to eat up a ton of the touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah. Remember the Jalen Hurts offense?
Yeah, no, Shane Steichen brought that over, and they even asked Shane Steichen. They've asked they've asked Anthony Richardson. Like, he goes, "Yeah, my legs are a big part of the game. Like, if I turn those off, I'm like making our team worse. Why would I do that?" So Anthony Richardson lower 20.5 passing touchdowns.
That's like the classic, like, smart person asking dumb person a question. Dumb person looks at smart person like, you're really stupid. I mean, that's what these reporters are asking. Like, so are you gonna dial? It's like, look at this motherfucker. You want me to dial him back? No, that's why we drafted him 4th overall. It reminds me of when Jim Mora Jr., former guest on the program, decided it would be best to put Michael Vick in the West Coast offense.
Bad idea.
Why? Really? I mean, eventually Andy Reid kind of figured it out, unlocked him a little bit. But how did you think that was going to be the best option, Jim? Anyway, yeah.
All right, we got a bunch here. We got a bunch of team previews on the way. Kramer's at 8-9. I'm at 10-7. We both like the Anthony Richardson lower passing touchdowns, but we do see some upside. Michael Pittman, offensive player of the year, long shot at 180 to 1. Kramer's a hater with his Richardson 40 to 1 interception. Does like his Colts play. I guess I'll officially be on the Colts here over 390.
I just think it's crazy that Richardson is 40 to 1.
And the Adonai Mitchell, I added that most rookie receiving yards 30 to 1. I know it goes against your boy Neighbors, but I mean, it's a Shane Steichen offense in a dome.
That's why I brought it up. I didn't think it was the worst bet.
Yeah,
but no, I do think if you're saying let's remove injuries, how does Richardson how is he not in the mix for most interceptions? We're seeing him in camp, but do you remember some of the throws? I think we're going to see we're going to see him push it down the field. That's what I'm hopeful for. And it
reminds me of a young Josh Allen where the variance is through the roof. Not even 2020 Josh Allen, like 2019 Josh Allen, Ryan, where he was such a fun guy to watch because it could be a 60-yard bomb, it could be a crazy run, or it could be these interceptions. I mean, Josh Allen still throwing a ton of interceptions.
What is Alec Pierce's most receiving touchdowns? Maybe that's
I don't know. I'm not touching that.
That's your first touchdown angle, Sean.
Could be, or Jelani Woods, but it's just going to be AR-15 or Jonathan Taylor every time. Again, that's kind of why I like the lower passing touchdown. You can be high on this team.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have 20. He could have 20 passing touchdowns, and they could still have a really good year.
Pretty wild. Adonai Mitchell to lead the division in yards, 35 to 1. For him just to lead the rookies, 30 to 1.
Richardson also to get to 4,000. Probably won't do it, but at 10 to 1, I'm getting a little nibble there. All right,
that would be the parlay. If he gets to 4,000, he's leading the league in interceptions. I feel like those things are correlated.
We'll see if those books let you parlay those. Hey, remember the phrase that pays? Start keeping track of those words.
And what was the Colts word?
You don't even remember, Ryan? Are you not keeping track as well?
I was having a dialogue for the people listening.
Colts word is championship. So
God.
make sure you write that down, add it to your list. The phrase reveals itself. $500 circuit ticket on the line. And we'll be talking to you tomorrow. What is it? 3 days?
3 days. At least until we
3 days. Loading up because we're going to Bet Bash. We got to get some bonus pods out there. Ken, if you are coming out to Bet Bash or just find yourself at the circuit this weekend, come say hi. I'm sure we'll be having a couple cocktails and having a grand old time.
Yes.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
I apologize to the AR-15 fans.
Kramer, let it ride.